Okay. Now, the sound is going to get better. I've just turned the air conditioning on. I'm going to turn it off in a second. I'm trying to get on this bloody stool. So the air conditioning is on because it's so damned hot here. It's like 110 degrees Fahrenheit, 40 degrees centigrade. In the UK, where I come from, 70 degrees Fahrenheit would be enough to declare national emergency. That'd be a heat wave. Anyway, that's why I'm sweating. I'm not sweating because I'm anxious about talking to you. I'm sweating because it's so damned hot in here. But funny enough, this is, lovely segue, this is a segue into today's video, because today's video is all about social anxiety in relation to public speaking. Anyway, let's turn the air conditioning off so we can get started, which means it's enter the deaf zone. So in this video, I'm going to share with you tips on how not to panic when you are doing public speaking. So when I was studying at university, I was absolutely terrified about talking in public. And when I say public, I mean any more than a couple of people. Even speaking in a small tutorial group scared the crap out of me. And my fear of public speaking carried all the way through my undergraduate years as a student and then all the way through into my career as a PhD student, where things got worse as I began to do conference presentations, rooms full of people. And those made me feel physically sick, and it didn't get any easier the more I did it. And after I got my PhD, I applied for lecturing jobs, which sounds mad because being a lecturer pretty much means you're a professional public speaker. You know, you give lectures. But that was the career track I was on, and I applied for a job at Manchester Metropolitan University in the UK. And when, to my surprise, they offered me the job, I was both delighted and terrified at the same time. And I remember my first lecture at that university. This was that very lecture room. This was Elizabeth Gaskell Lecture Theatre. That's the name of it. It's no longer there because they closed down that campus, not because of my lecture. It wasn't that bad. But that was the room I was going to give my lecture in. And I remember the night before, I couldn't sleep. I was so nervous. But when I turned up to work that day, I felt oddly calm. And I remember going into the lecture theatre, and again, I was utterly calm. And I started my lecture, and not a flutter of nerves. All my nerves had gone. And I've kind of loved public speaking ever since. Now you can't get me to shut up. Now, how did I get over the panic of public speaking? Well, by getting paid to do it. That sounds flippant, but it's not meant to be. It's all about, it's not the money, but it was because I was being valued. The university valued me enough. They said, we think you're of sufficient value that we're going to pay you, you know? And that made me, when I was talking in public, I felt valued. So my anxiety was all about worrying that people would think I was a worthless idiot. Why would that cause such panic? Well, if people around you place no value on you, then if bad things happen to you, you'll think that people won't help you, that you're not worth helping. In fact, you might think that they'll be happy to see bad things happen to you. And it's that sense of vulnerability that lies behind so much of what we call social anxiety. Okay, so now I've got that off my chest. I've given you my backstory, like auditioning for the X Factor or something. But how does my story help you if you have anxiety about speaking in public? Well, because of my experience with social anxiety, all about, with public speaking, ever since becoming a lecturer, I've been trying to help students overcome their own public speaking anxieties. That's usually about students being scared of giving a presentation in class. And over the many years I've been lecturing, I've found that there are three things that work for most of my students. And number one is getting support, number two is taking control, and number three is a little bit of self-deception. So, first strategy, getting support. There are things that you can do before your presentation, and there are things you can do on the day of your presentation. Before your presentation, practice your presentation in front of people who you value and who value you. Good friends, supportive family, trusted colleagues, people who won't be judgmental but will tell you how to make your presentation better, but not, do that in a way that makes you feel an idiot. And once you've had a few of those experiences of delivering a talk to people you know and trust who are supportive, it can help you feel more confident when you present in front of a bunch of strangers. Now, when it comes to the day of the presentation, seek out members of the audience who can support you. Ask them if they can just smile and nod when you're speaking, just to show you a bit of non-verbal encouragement. And if they do that, if you have people like that in the audience, that can make a huge impact in settling your nerves. In fact, I'll let you into a little secret, okay? So, don't tell anyone else this. If you're in the audience of any kind of talk or presentation, say you're in a lecture and you're a student, try smiling and nodding when the speaker looks in your direction. And often you'll find the speaker will start focusing on you as if you're the only one in the room. And that happens usually when there's no one else smiling or nodding in the audience. In fact, most members of an audience sit there with stony faces. They look distracted or tired or miserable. They look grumpy. Doesn't mean they are distracted, tired, miserable and grumpy. It's just that when people are in the audience, they forget that they are actually providing you with feedback, providing the presenter with feedback through their non-verbal behavior. You know, their facial expression or their posture is communicating something to the speaker. But they've switched off from thinking about that. They let their faces relax, and when our faces relax, we look tired and grumpy. Look, I'll show you. This is my face not relaxed, and now my face relaxed. Okay, I always look like that, maybe. But if you've got a bunch of people who are just looking like that, tired and grumpy, a room full of them, and that can really put you off. It's really can put you off, and it can add to your nerves. So if you've got someone in the audience who's smiling and nodding, they become your support beacon. And that's why if you smile and nod when you're a member of the audience, the person speaking will often lock into you because they're sucking up all of that positive feedback. And this is something that happens even when the speaker is very experienced and doesn't appear to be nervous. They often still lock on to that person in the audience who's smiling and nodding because they need that supportive feedback. It makes them feel better about themselves. So get yourself a nodder and a smiler in your audience, maybe a couple, and that can often take a lot of their anxiety away. It just takes the edge off. Second strategy, number 2. This is in conjunction with the first one about getting support. This one's about taking back control. So before your presentation, practice so you're fully familiar with your talk to the point you won't need notes and you're unlikely to freeze into a stupor and just forget what you're going to say. You know, rehearse, practice. But the main thing to practice is sticking to time, because time is the thing that you are most likely to lose control of when you're public speaking. And one of the biggest triggers for anxiety is running out of time or losing your sense of time. And time always spirals out of control, particularly when you're giving a longer presentation. Our perception of time changes when we're presenting, and it most often moves quicker than we realize. Sometimes it moves slower, but more often than not, it moves quicker. So you say you've got 10 slides in your presentation. You come up to slide number 3 and someone tells you you've got 2 minutes left. And then that's when the panic hits you. My advice is when you practice to end much sooner than your allocated time. So if you've got 15 minutes to talk, practice to do your talk in about 10 minutes. On the day, those 10 minutes are likely going to be blowing out to 15. But if they don't, and you only speak for 10 minutes, your audience will love you because they get more time to have their say. You know, they can ask questions and give you feedback on your talk, and that's the best bit of a talk, is the question and answer session and the feedback you get as a presenter. Okay. The other thing is, when you're presenting, if there are other people presenting as well and they're coming before you, they will often run over time. And if you're the last one to present, you'll probably have less time than you originally planned for. So preparing for a shorter talk is good because other people overrun their time, and that's really common. So plan to do that so that you're in control of time. The other thing is to plan for things going wrong, and not just, the clock going wrong, time running away with you, but other things going wrong. The thing that speakers lose control over most often is technology. The computer won't work, the projector doesn't work, the microphone doesn't work, your memory stick doesn't work. So always have a backup plan in case those things happen. So if you run through what you would do if things go wrong, you will be less likely to panic when they do go wrong, and you'll be less nervous about things going wrong. And, excuse me, don't worry. Excuse me. I don't want to worry you, but things are going to go wrong. And they go wrong an awful lot of the time. So if you're prepared for that, it won't throw you when it happens. So you stay in control, even when things are spiraling out of control around you. Now, the third strategy is self-deception. Use this if getting support and taking control don't work, and if you're still feeling anxious. So, you're getting ready to speak, you've rehearsed and practiced beforehand, but the nerves are still there. You've got some people in the audience who are smiling and nodding, but you're still feeling really nervous, and you can feel those nerves starting to overwhelm you. And you think, I've only got two options here. I can run away, or I can get up on stage and then just faint, make an idiot of myself. But there's actually a third option, which is to trick yourself out of feeling nervous by telling yourself that you're not nervous, you're just very, very, very excited. Like how you get excited opening your birthday presents, or when you get to see a movie that you've always wanted to see, or getting excited about the new iPhone coming out. You damn fool, it's just an iPhone. Now, this might not work for you, but it does work for a lot of people, and it's worth a try. Hey, what you got to lose? It works for some people because the funny thing is that anxiety and excitement produce quite similar states of physiological arousal. So if your hands are shaking, tell yourself that it's because you're excited rather than because you're petrified. If you think your nerves are obvious to the audience, and mostly they are, don't believe those people who tell you you didn't look nervous, because you probably did. When the paper is shaking in your hand, and when you try to get a glass of water, it's like Niagara Falls everywhere. So don't believe people who tell you that you don't look nervous. You probably did look nervous. You probably do look nervous. So just say to your audience that you're excited. You're excited about giving your presentation. Tell them you're passionate about your topic, and that's why you're excited. People like passionate speakers, and they like people who are excited to be there. It's like when someone is excited to see you. That's really nice when that happens. It's like a puppy running up to you, wagging its tail. So that's the look you're after, the excited puppy dog. What you'll often find is that if you tell your audience you're excited, unless they're a bunch of horrible people, they're likely to warm to you. Tell them you're excited and they'll smile. Tell them you're nervous and they'll give you that pity eye or that sympathy look, the head tilt and all of that look of concern. And all that's going to do is to confirm to you that you must look like a wreck because everyone feels sorry for you. I mean, look at them. They're all feeling sorry for you. And that can actually amplify your anxiety because it's like a confirmation that something's going dreadfully wrong and you go into this stress spiral. Again, not to try and panic you. But, the stress spiral is a thing. It can happen. It's happened to me a few times. Not anymore, but it used to. So just tell yourself you're excited. Tell your audience that you're excited. And if you're shaking and sweating and your voice is wobbling, tell them you're excited. See what happens. You might be surprised. It might turn out to be a fun thing rather than a terrifying thing. Okay, so there you go. Those are my 3 top tips for overcoming the panic of public speaking. Get support, take control, and if all else fails, engage in a little bit of self-deception. So that's all for now. Hope that was useful for you. Till next time. Ta-da.